and welcome. I'm John and this is Unique Wargaming Terrain. Guys, this is a slightly different video this week. I've taken a step back from finishing the, building the boards for the Killteam, which started as a Killteam, is now becoming a 40k board. There's two reasons for this. The first one is I've got 101 odd jobs to do here and there, and in the process of doing them, I'm clearing space and tidying stuff up. Okay, not time-consuming jobs, but they're just jobs that will just take time if they're put together. So I need to try and get ahead on them. And the second reason is I'll do a weekly Wednesday video, and where I focus on models and questions to do with models and paint techniques and any sneaky little things that we can do to improve what we do with the models. But I'm also getting terrain questions. Okay, so this week I'm going to be talking about tools and materials that we use for terrain and cheaper ideas and options, and this is what you can use, etc. So if you're new to the channel, guys, sit back, enjoy, because it's still going to be a good video. It's just not a build video this week. It's a prep video for tools and items that you need. If you're regular here, guys, I feel I have 29 subscribers, absolutely doing fantastic. So guys, I'll see you in a second. Right guys, so as I was saying, there's a lot of questions I'm being asked to do with terrain. Not so much to, what materials you're using, because everyone knows what polystyrene is and expanding foam and all that sort of stuff. But other things like PVA glues that I use, what type of blades, all these different things. So I'm going to cover that all in this one video. And hopefully there's no more questions to do with tools or anything like that. It's, there'll still be questions to do with terrain and stuff like that, but if you think I should answer terrain questions, okay, i.e. questions based on terrain, tools, materials, etc., inside the weekly Wednesday, okay, even though my first initial thought with that was just for models, but if you want me to answer those questions in the weekly Wednesday, further down the line, future on and going forward, so I say, chuck a comment below and let me know, and I'll do that. I always wanted the weekly Wednesday to be just for models, but it doesn't matter what I want. You're the viewer. You're the one that tells me, look, do it like this. We want this. I'll do that. It's not a problem. So guys, first off, one of the questions I've been asked: do I just make 40k and futuristic terrain? No, I do make fantasy terrain as well. Here's the thing. I try to make terrain that's universal, so I could use it in both. But at the same time saying that, I got the Indominus box. If you haven't seen my pile of shame video, go back and check it out, because it's not as bad as others, but it's still bad. I got that box, and one of my work colleagues plays 40k as well. Just he got the models to paint and everything else, and he started really getting into it. And the fact that we both play is really like up the game a little bit. So because of that, I've been primarily focusing on 40k stuff, like terrain wise. Not only that, because I'm painting Space Marines, I'm trying to sort out all this pile of shame, and I'm more pushed to do 40k terrain. Now I will be doing some fantasy builds. I will be. I've still got fantasy models to paint, but I'm more inspired to do 40k stuff. But I will do fantasy stuff. What's my favourite material for making terrain? So this is a tough one, because I like using expanding foam. I like using polystyrene. I've got a heap of this material, which Creative Terrain. He let me know what this is. I cannot pronounce it. It's polyurethane or polyurethane or something like that. If someone says it to me, and then it click in my head. But it's basically, he was saying to me, basically, this is the stuff that you get milk cartons out of, jugs of milk. I've started using this, and I do like this material because I can spray can it, so it's good. PVA glues. What PVA glues do I use? Now, well, it's got a kids label on it. Ignore the label, okay? I bought it because I was using it. It was a kids glue, first of all, PVA glue, and I was using this for gluing stuff down and everything else. Then I come across Evo Stick, which is a builder's PVA glue, proper heavy duty work. So I put it in here. Now that cost me 10 quid a bottle. I put it in here, filled the whole thing up. I've used it, filled it up again, and I've still got a good man. This is proper heavy stuff. Now, you can use this to glue gravity model based and everything else. It's a bit too heavy for that though. You can use it for that, it's fine. But when you're gluing polystyrene together, it will take a long time to dry. Okay. Now, do not put that mistake I made. I put it into the water to make the sealant spray. That's a bad idea. Okay, that's a very bad idea because it's too heavy. Sometimes it dries and there's droplets. Okay, or sometimes when you spray it on, it will reactivate any PVA glue that's underneath. So this is a cheap kids PVA glue. Look how watery that is. So let me just see how clear the lid is. Look how watery that is. See how quickly that flows down. And look at this one. It takes a long time to come down. Okay, this is really watery kids PVA glue. This is Evo Stick. It's about 10 up from a a builder's merchant. Now, another material that I use, fine grit sandpaper. Okay, this is brilliant for sanding down bits of expanding foam, sand down the weatherboard, which I'll get onto in a second. Brilliant. There's no point trying to cut something if it's a little flappy bit. You can use the fine grit sandpaper. I've got a permanent marker. Okay, now it's not the best marker, but it's just used to mark so I can get a straight line and stuff like that. Clippers, always handy, model clippers. Now, blades. Okay, now I've got this one, or not this one, but I've got these ones, which are expandable ones. Yeah, there's not much blade on that because it's snapped off, but these are perfect for cutting through bits of expanding foam or for cutting through polystyrene and stuff like that. I've got another one, but this is a lot skinnier. Okay, you can see the size difference. It's a lot skinnier. Now this one is basically blunt. If I run it in my hand, I'll cut myself. Don't do that. But I use this for carving and shaping bits of expanding foam and stuff like that, beveling the edges of something, because it's a nice skinny long one. It's not going to destroy quite a lot of stuff. I have a small pen, a black felt tip pen. So if I need a pinpoint, that the marker's going to be too big to get. There we go. Now, I have a straight edge. Now, this is my straight edge. Floppy as, it's got card, a bit of cork underneath it. This is okay, but the problem with this, it does slide. So I've started using a piece of timber. Again, I cut into it, so it's not, that great, but it still does the job. I have a heavy duty standing blade for cutting the weatherboard. The weatherboard, you can get it from a builder's merchant, like a home base or something, B&Q, stuff like this, all those sort of places. Now it's like an MDF, okay, but it's hard. I would say it's an MDF, but it's really, you can really cut it with a blade so easily. It's a weird material. Over in Republic of Ireland where I live, it's called a weatherboard. Okay, but you would not put that out on the outside of a building because it would just get ruined. What other materials? Rotary blades. Okay, I used it on the lava build. If you haven't seen that, guys, go back and check that. It's very good. Yeah, I used it on that to cut half bits of plastic. The bridge, yeah. Now the thing with the rotary blade, is I can now look at things like, I've seen people use the water guns and cut them up with a rotary blade and make terrain like that. I've seen that. I'm not going to go for that, but I can look at things like kids' construction kit. It's made of plastic and everything else. Instead of sitting there with the clippers trying to snip, and the blade, I can rotor tool, bang, bang. That's that piece I want. I can take and you're going to laugh when I say this, but a little kid's fairy house or a doll's house or something, something like that, made out of plastic. Cut pieces off to use for anything I want. It's a very handy tool to have. Yeah. Now, another tool to have is, sorry, camera, stop jumping. Stop. Hot glue gun. Okay. Now, I've mentioned this before, but when you get a hot glue gun, always try to get more than one in different sizes. Okay. Because here's the reason, the main reason why. If one blows and there's no good no more, you've still got another one. That's the good reason. There's another reason is, see the size of the glue stick in there at the end? Size of the glue stick in that one. Yeah, there's a big difference. The size of the glue stick in this one, again, it's a big difference. They all come in different sizes, the glue sticks. So if you can't get the glue sticks for this little gun, but you can get them for the medium gun, then you've still got glue gun to use. If you can't get them from either of these two, but you can get them for the big boy, yeah, then again, you've got glue sticks to carry on with. When you're using a glue gun, this is what I do. I have an old China plate. So when I use the glue gun, I can just rest it on this. Any hot glue goes onto the plate, not all over the place. Yeah, I don't need to do it with the big boy because he has his own little cup. Okay, at the bottom there. Alright. Rotary tool. Now I did say this in the last terrain build I did. I had a piece of timber, so when I used it and it was spinning around, I wait for it to slow down and stop, and I put it down and pivot it up so the blade was away from anything else, not going to cut into anything, and you know, all that sort of business. Pair of scissors. You're going to laugh, but this is a good thing to have when you don't need it. When you need a pair of scissors, you can never find any. So it's always good to have a nice sharp pair of scissors, because you'll see this when I do a fantasy build. I've already done what I need to do, what I was to say, but you'll see and you go, oh yeah, that's what I need scissors for. Making templates. You make templates out of card, and then you can put them on top of bits of foam and cut around the foam with a blade, or draw around it, then cut around it, or whatever you want to do, but you'll need scissors to cut the card. Okay? I'll put that in here. Now we've got a hot knife. Okay? Now those of you the regular channel, you would have seen me use this on the expanding foam before I realised it's heat resistant, it's not going to work. So anyway, this is a very handy tool. I think you get these for about 12 quid on Amazon or something like that. You see how the blade is. The only problem with this, when you're using it on polystyrene, it will pump out fumes. So have a well ventilated area and everything else, because the fumes will just start blasting off of it. But this is good for cutting doorways, cutting windows, cutting slots for the bunker for, you know, for people to shoot out of. If it's like, you know, Gen Steelers, Imperial Guards, Space Marines, that sort of thing. This is a battle even. It's good for cutting Weaving House, Space Marines. It's good to do that. But this is also good if you always make it. If you're making dungeon terrain and you're using polystyrene balls, this is good to do it, but it will melt very quickly. There is a cheaper option, which is somewhere down. I can't grab it. Smoldering iron. Okay. And someone goes, oh, smoldering iron. Yeah, smoldering iron. To whack it on, that's what I used first to make terrain. And the first sort of tiles that I made. Sorry guys, bear with me a second. Yeah, see the tiles on there? That's made with a smoldering iron. So I literally just drew round the squares with a pen. Got, you know, 1 inch by 1 inch base. Drew round the squares and then just smoldering ironed all the squares up. Okay, how amazing and simple that is. One technique, one tool. Oh, 2 tools because you use a pen, but you know what I'm saying. Oh, what else have we got in here? Lolly sticks. Also another very handy tool to have. Now some of you are going to go, oh, but you know, you use them for building. You can use them. Look, this one has PPA glue, or it looks like PPA glue, hot glue on the end of it. Okay, so it's been used for. I've used it to get into the bit that my fingers can't get into. Okay, so that's the basic tools that you need to do stuff. Okay, now I'm going to show you some handy stuff that you can use, okay, and you can amass very quickly, and it won't cost you anything because you'll probably have them in your kitchen anyway. Okay, so I'll see you in a second, guys. Right, guys, bouncy camera today. Stop bouncing. Right, this, okay, if I don't drop it, is a coffee lid for the jar of coffee. Now, what would you use that for? I use this as a plinth. So if I'm making a piece of terrain that needs 6, 2, 2, 2 for the terrain to sit on, it's all, it's don't drop it. It's an even surface for it to sit on. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is, if anything runs off of it, paint, glue, whatever runs off of it, it's not going to run onto the table, or it's not going to run off and then stick the piece of terrain to wherever it's sitting on. It's just, I have them down on the floor there, so I put the terrain down there, and when I'm spraying, when I'm under spraying, sealing it, whatever, that's where I sit some of them on there. Now, the only thing I say is with the coffee lids, don't buy this coffee brand and then that coffee brand and then this one. Try and, if you use consistent coffee, try and use the same lid, have the lids, just keep lids. Now, some of the lids have a little dome bit on top. You don't want those. I'll tell you why. If you're putting the train on it, it's not sitting flat. It's sort of, there's a little dome on each one, so it's sort of, and that give it more chance of, buckling and twisting and bowing. You don't want that. Now, plastic sweetener jars. Okay, I said this before, I say again, do not use glass jars. Okay, because you'll end up, it's safety first. If I drop this on the floor, it just bounces. If it was a glass jar, it would just smash everywhere. Okay, so and the last thing you want is to have that on the side, you turn around and knock it and it goes smash. Okay, especially if you have cats. You have the jar there and the cat knocks the jar over. Yeah, or more importantly, if you have a little one and you're sitting doing stuff, your little one's watching telly or something, you don't want a glass jar that could smash, especially if they grabbed it and it goes, yeah, you don't want that. Okay, but I have about 40 of these jars. Okay, we go for about 1 or 2 a week, 1.5 weeks, something like that. I use each jar for different things. So one for flock, one for this flock, one for that flock. I have this one actually has the little clippings from the lolly sticks from when we made the trench build. Okay, I literally have a jar for everything. Now, some things I do amass a lot of, and then they become too big for the jar. So what do I do then? You could start another jar if you have the spare jars, not a big issue, or you up your game and get something like this. Yeah, not that I'm a cake lover, but yeah, something like this. It's got more of a depth into it. Okay, at the moment I've got a rubber mat, leftover bit of rubber mat in there. You're gonna store a little bit more. Okay, it's neater and it's tidier, or something like this. Okay, now this was a sweet, I think it's blueberry laces. I think it was. Liquid pencils, but that's perfect. Now that's also perfect for particular shaped items. So for example, there's no more glue sticks in there, but if there was glue sticks in there, they're a bit big for the bad example, but there we go. Okay, look, there's a packet of small glue sticks. I put them in there. So if I have loose ones, they can go in there. If I have, that's nice and easy. Okay, it's easy stored. And there's like a label on it that says what it is. So you don't even need to open to see what it says, you see what the label says. Okay, now, grease-proof paper or parchment paper. This is very handy to have. You need to get some. Because if you're using expanding foam, you need it. If you're not, you're just a painter and you do paint, you still need it for your wet palette, which is actually very handy thing to have. Tin foil. Now, you don't need vast amounts of tin foil, but like I said on the small blast creator build, for the boards. There's I think it's 2 videos ago. There's a cheeky little one that I couldn't find a recording for, and I've just filmed it afterwards and showed you guys. But even for that, I talk about putting tin foil around the blast grade to give you texture and everything else. You can use it for that, or you can roll it into a ball and use it for texturing stone and, you know, that sort of stuff. So you don't need a vast amount, maybe palm of your hand size, okay? So you can hold it and just work away. Now, you can usually pick up a roll of this for like €1 or a pound or $1 or something like that. We went to a farm shop recently, and the best way to describe a farm shop for those of you go, what's that mean? It's a shop that's usually associated with a farm right next to it, but they sell a lot of meat that they produce themselves. Okay, so you get a nice discount, but you're getting good quality fresh meat. Okay, it's not a butcher's, it's an actual shop, but it's called a farm shop. All right, depending on what part of the world you're in, you might be called something different. But they sell a lot of stuff for basically like meat wise, but they also sell other bits and pieces, but in big bulk. Now, one of the things, why I'm telling you about this, they had 50 meters, okay, 50 meters of greaseproof paper, tin foil, all that sort of stuff for 7 or 8 quid. Now, normally you get 5 meters for a pound or €1, or, you know, this is 50 meters for like, I think it was $7.50. So for terrain making, if you're getting greaseproof paper because you're going to be using a lot of expanding foam, penny per pound, that's probably the best way to go here. You know, if you haven't got one near you, or you don't know where one is, then just keep for your, you know, euro one. It's still not you're not losing nothing. It's only a pound, you know, $1, €1. But if you can get to one of them, then that's a good thing to go to. Another thing that I've seen, Sean Lockley, if I've pronounced your name wrong, buddy, I apologise. One thing I saw him doing. Now, someone else might have done it, and it never registered my brain, but I only saw him doing it recently, a month or two ago, using hairspray on static grass to make it stand up. Now, usually you'd do static grass, and then you'd use a varnish spray, and it makes it spring up, okay? But the problem with that, if you're doing it on polystyrene and stuff, there's a chance that the varnish spray will get between and find a little gap and start melting the polystyrene. Whereas the hairspray, it shouldn't do. And I see him doing it, and I was like, actually, that's a very clever idea. So thank you for that one, buddy. I'm going to be testing it out soon. Yeah, that's well, paint-wise, I use a lot of the graduate acrylic paint, which is just basically big crafting paint. There's no medium in it. There's no, you know, well, there's medium in it, but not that much. It's quite thick. So when I put the base colours on stuff, it does take a long time to dry. But there is some good colours. And the benefit with those colours is they are different to your model paints. So if I use, say, a burnt umber, and then you still do drab over the top, as you guys have seen me done in previous videos, it really makes it pop with each other, because it's 2 browns, but it's 2 different contrasting colours of brown. The other thing I say is spray cans. Now, spray cans, they do have their place, because bear in mind, if we filler mix something, then give it a black underspray, which I'll talk about in a second. A black underspray, you're basically sealing it, so there should not be any little gaps that that if you spray it with a can, you're going to get into and make the polystyrene board or the expanding foam melt. So they do have their place, but you have to be very selective with the colours you use. Okay, so with the last video, with the lava build, I did the airbrush. Now, if I could get my hands on to the specific colours to make lava, okay, or this one and that one, and test sprayed it, and that's how it looks, and it's fantastic, and it's great, then I could have used them, yeah, providing that I sealed it properly. Now, with the underspray, okay, the underspray, I've said this before, and I'm just going to add it in here, because if I don't, someone's going to say to me afterwards, oh, what was that? The underspray, you basically get a kitchen cleaner spray bottle, or bathroom cleaner spray bottle. When it's empty, You take it out, wash it all out, clean it all out, spray to get rid of all the chemicals out of it. Take the square bit out with the nozzle coming off. You want to snip the the tube, sorry, between the halfway mark and towards the end. So it's at least halfway up when you put it back in the bottle. Now what you put in that bottle is fill up halfway up with water. Yeah. Use the cheap kids PVA glue. Don't use the heavy duty stuff. Use kids cheap PVA glue. You don't use the heavy duty stuff because one, it's a waste of it. Two, it will get up into there and clog the nozzle. Okay, then you've got to get rid of the whole thing. Now, the kids one is so watered down, it becomes like a sticky sugary water. Okay, then what you do is you put some black paint, some black ink, some blue ink, you know, anything you have, and the whole aim of it is to be able to just spray polystyrene or spray, you know, expanding foam, so that that water gets into the lowest point, and the PVA glue goes with it, seals any gaps or any joins that you might want to get rid of. Okay. Also, the paint in there will add colour to it, so you're basically undercoating the whole thing without using a spray can that's going to damage it. So essentially, it's a spray can in squidgy bottle form, but for like some sensitive material that could get damaged by it. Now, I have seen some people use spray can on polystyrene from a distance, and it works. But you don't want to take that risk and do that, you know, on something that you just spent 4 hours, 5 hours building. Okay, so that's the underspray, and the sealant spray I've already spoke about. So guys, I think I'm going to wrap that up there because I'm getting a long time again. I do apologise. But look, again, if you want me to add any terrain questions that I have, okay, about tools, techniques, to, you know, how do you do this, how do you do that. If you want me to add any of those questions, okay, anything to do with terrain, into the Weekly Wednesday, type a comment below, let me know. Okay, I did want to keep that just model focused, but if you want me to do this, combine the two, because the terrain is wargaming stuff. So, you know, if you do want me to add that, it saves me having to do another one of these huge down the road. Guys, thanks for being patient and listening to me waffle on, as always. Guys, like, share, subscribe, turn your notifications, and I will see you next week, where I should be ahead of myself and all my odd jobs will be done, and we should be on to the next build, and hopefully we won't be far from completing this big 40k build. Okay, and I'll give you a nice little price cost and everything else, and then hopefully you will do it yourself. Send me some pictures of Messenger. Guys, next week, I'll see you later.